Hello, everyone, and welcome to Our America's first ever Facebook Town Hall. I'm Catherine Mortensen. I'm the Communications Director. And joining me on screen is Christian Roby. He is the president of Our America. And before we hear from Congressman Juan Ciscomani, who we revealed as our featured guest for our town hall tonight, he'll be giving us an update from Washington. Before we hear from him, Christian will just take a few minutes to welcome you and just give you a little bit of overview about Our America for those of you who may be new to us and wanting to learn a little bit more about our group. Christian.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Our America was started nearly 3 years ago to build a broad and diverse coalition of voters. These are folks that have oftentimes been overlooked by the conservative right and neglected by the left. So we wanted to give these, we still want it. We wanted to, and it's our mission to give these folks a home, an American home, to help protect the American dream for them, but also for Americans of every ethnic background, every religious background. We have grown so much since we launched. We have a digital audience of almost 500,000 people, a very diverse one. We have more than 2,900 hometown heroes. And these are the folks who are really taking the action. They're online, they're on the ground, and they have done, you have done, because I know a lot of you here are hometown heroes, an amazing amount of work to help our communities be safer, to help protect freedom of thought and religion, to promote a strong economy, protect fair and honest elections, like we said, to protect the American dream. So thank you so much. To show you our American action, I'd like to show and share a very short video with you of a recent event that we held in the suburbs of Atlanta. I think it gives a spirit for really what we're all about and how we're different.
My name is Carly Eli, and I am the Grassroots Director for the state of Georgia. Our America is a nonprofit, non-political organization that is committed to ensure that all Americans have access to the American dream. So tonight, we are in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's a great honor to have Our America here in no better place than Gwinnett County. We have a 51% multicultural percentage of demographics here. So we're excited to showcase Hispanic excellence, bring on leaders from all over Georgia, of course, targeting Gwinnett. And it's just about discussing the topics that are so pivotal in this hour to our community. And ultimately, that my heart is that we enter tonight as friends, but we leave as a family.
Los restaurantes Versace tenemos 18 años. Yo acepté este evento porque para mí, la comunidad hispana del estado de Georgia, me gusta que no tenga miedo, que sepa que a través del trabajo duro se pueden lograr muchas cosas en este país.
You need to be a voice, stand up, get to know our representative, the people that are standing up for us, and go out and vote.
It's very obvious that people cannot afford what we were able to afford in 2020, 2016.
It is definitely possible to achieve the American dream. My father came here on a boat, running away from communism and misery, and I now own a house in the state.
We have rising prices, inflation that's unbearable, and particularly within the Hispanic community. We know that this is the fastest growing group of voters in America. It means you could get involved, you can put your hand up and register for an organization like ours or Our America's, which I hope you're all involved in. What a great organization. But you can also talk to your family and your friends and neighbors. Hey, all right, make sure that you vote.
My first America event, and I want to do the same for my community.
So, as much as we're different, we're all the same. You have United Fabric that brings us together as a community. So Our America is our America, right? So I loved it.
Most of the Venezuelan community have values for tradition family. So we're trying to show them that it's a real freedom and everything is possible, but do it the right way.
ultimately it's not about us or me, but it's about the community, and that's where I'm at. So I'm just really honored to be a part of Our America. I'm just really blessed to just be here in Georgia, and this is my family. These people of Georgia are amazing, and I just hope that after tonight, they feel the same way, and they feel inspired, and they feel the love, and that they want to get involved.
Thank you. That was Carly Eli, our director in Georgia. And we're going to bring on our Vice President, Glenn Caroline, here, just to give you a few words about how you can be an effective advocate and have your voice heard and make a difference in your community. So I'll let Christian go, and we'll bring Glenn on.
Well, thank you, Kat. Thank you, Christian. And more importantly, thank all of you who are joining us tonight. We can't succeed without your support in the field. You truly are the engine that drives our machine. And as a grassroots activist myself, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't want to take too much time speaking with you tonight because I'm more excited to hear from our special guest, Congressman Ciscomani. But I do want to lay out 5 extremely simple but very important tasks we're going to ask all of you who are joining us tonight to undertake. First and foremost, we want and we need you to be force multipliers for us. Imagine if everybody on this call recruits just one more member, just one more volunteer, overnight, we would double the number of people who are with us this evening. Our strength is really in our numbers, and we speak with one large united voice. We're only that more successful. So please reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, tell them to go to our joinamerica.org website and click on the Hometown Heroes tab to join our growing ranks of volunteers all across this great nation. Second, know who your federal and state lawmakers are. I know it sounds simple, but you might be in a new district or a new precinct and have new legislators than you had in the previous election. Heck, for all I know, your lawmakers could have changed based on the election results just this past November. So a simple Google search with your address will tell you who your current elected officials are, both in Washington, D.C., in your state capital, and even down to the city and precinct level. So don't take for granted that who represented you prior to last November is the same. Take a few minutes and do your due diligence to make sure you're current on which elected officials work for you and represent you. Along those lines, we're very pleased to announce that currently we are supporting 4 nominees in the current administration for various positions in the cabinet and the executive branch. I'm going to ask you all to contact your 2 United States senators by calling 202-224-3121 and asking them to support the following 4 nominees. Again, that's 202-224-3121 for your United States senators. And when we get their office on the line, ask them to support Lori Chavez Dramier, who's being nominated to be our nation's labor secretary, and Scott Turner, who's been nominated to be the Department of Housing and Urban Development Director, and Hamid Dillon, who we hope will be the next Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, and of course, Kelly Loeffler, who you just heard from in our video, who's been nominated to run the Small Business Administration. All of these individuals represent everything that's great and unique about our country, and they represent the values that we all share. Register to vote and vote early. I know we all have fatigue that the elections just ended. For some of us, like myself in Virginia, every year is an election year, and we'll have elections this November. Some of you will have congressional vacancies to fill or special elections. Whether you have elections in 2025 or the congressional races in 2026, please make sure your registration is current, because remember, only currently registered voters are eligible to cast their ballot either early or in person on election day. Which brings me to my last point about voter registration. Regardless of how you feel about early voting, it is the new normal in our country, and it's often the difference between victory and defeat. So please make sure as the next election approaches, you take advantage of early voting to ensure that your vote is banked, your vote is counted, and your vote matters. The last thing I want to talk about real quickly is something that's very easy to do, and you're probably already doing it, is why you're joining us tonight. Follow us on social media. We have a very robust presence all across the spectrum on social media. And I ask that you not only follow and comment on our posts, but you share them as well. I'm now going to stand down and introduce you to somebody who probably needs no introduction, at least to those of you in Arizona, our terrific Arizona State Director, Paul Parisi.
This year is off to a great start. On January 13th, the opening day of the Arizona legislature, many Our America hometown heroes participated in a prayer walk at the Arizona Capitol, organized by Center for Arizona Policy, One Cry Tucson, and Our America. We helped fill a coach bus in Tucson to bring people to the Capitol prayer walk. We did this to support religious freedom. Later this month, Our America is hosting our second meeting of Hispanic organization leaders to discuss how crime affects cost of living and to align on mutually beneficial legislation. We are working with legislators and partner organizations to champion legislation concentrating on crime and safety, freedom of thought, cost of living, and voter integrity. Soon we'll be mobilizing hometown heroes with calls to action to pass legislation and to also defeat bills that go against our values. And now, without further delay, a man who has been a great friend of Our America, U.S. Congressman Juan Ciscomani of Arizona's 6th Congressional District. Juan was reelected in November to a second term in one of the closest races in the country. In fact, his race was that determined the balance of power in the U.S. House of Representatives. Many of you helped on his campaign, and he gave you credit for helping him win.
What kind of an impact did we have on your reelection?
Our America had a tremendous impact, of course. Last time I won by 1.4%, this time by 2.5%. So we did over a point better. So everyone that engages, every phone call that is made, every door that is knocked on, all these things matter. And Our America played a role in that, of course, sending out a positive message and doing all the work that the grassroots work that we highly benefited from. So I'm sure grateful, and I look forward to continue to work with you all throughout these next 2 years and beyond.
All right, let me explain what we had a small hiccup here with our program tonight. Many of you will be sad that the congressman cannot join us in person because he is voting right now. The Congress is moving so quickly with bills and things happening this week that he got called into late night votes earlier this afternoon, but he did record a message for us earlier today with our national director, Gabriel Nadales. I'm going to play that video for you, and you'll be able to hear directly from him. So just stand by while I pull that video up.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Nadales, and I'm the National Director of Our America. It is with a pleasure that I get to introduce Representative Juan Ciscomani of Arizona, who is joining us today. Now, Juan, I know that tonight you're going to be in Congress. I was hoping that you could share with us what you're going to be working on tonight, as well as give us a little bit of a legislative update on some of the priorities that you're going to have during this Congress.
Sure. So yes, we're still here. We've been here all weekend as well with inauguration festivities, but also doing work. So we went back into session. It was all about the inauguration from Friday to probably Monday-ish, I would say even some on Tuesday. But then starting on Tuesday evening, we went back to voting. And we've been voting on different measures. We have a priority in the mandate. The things that we've been focusing on, been around the border, of course. This is the top priority that the president ran on, that we all ran on, especially in my district. We have work to do also in the reducing the size of government and the economy. And I know we'll talk a little bit about that. So that's another part of it as well. We have efforts for our veterans. I also attended some of our veterans committee meetings, and these are all just kind of like preliminary. They're starting out, but we're setting out an agenda. And the Appropriations Committee met for the first time today as well. This is very important, as this is where the funding for the the different funding bills that we're still working on are going to derive from, we have to still finish. We're on the CR right now, so we have to finish the funding for FY25 and already start on the FY26. And then the big one is reconciliation, that the deadline for that, or the imposed deadline is about April, that we want to be able to wrap that up just about a month after we pass the FY25 bill finally. So these are the kind of things that we've been working on. That's a lot of the details on that we're voting on. So that's what we're doing this week.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely said it. You guys have a mandate to make sure that you have the people, the America's people's voice in the House. Now, we do have a couple of questions that was submitted by some of our hometown heroes that I want to get to. Now, we know that public safety is one of your top priorities. Can you give us an update on a bill that you introduced last year to address high-speed car chases along the border? I know it passed the House last year, but it didn't get a Senate vote. Where does it stand now?
Yeah, so it passed the House last year on bipartisan basis, and it didn't pass the Senate. It actually never made it on the Senate. It didn't get a vote or anything. It just went to go be put in the closet there somewhere. But now that we have a new Congress, and this does have bipartisan support again, a path to the president's desk. So when the president and the speaker came up with the top priorities in terms of points that they wanted to tackle, the area that this bill addresses was one of them. So this made it as one of the top priorities. So this bill has already been introduced. This Congress is going to go through the formal orderly process again, make it on the floor. I expect it to pass with bipartisan support again, go to the Senate, and of course, hopefully be signed by the president. It's a bill that makes sense. This is something that actually what doesn't make sense is why this isn't federal law yet, which is not yielding to federal law enforcement, not being a federal crime, and not adhering to any kind of penalty for that. So we have traffickers and smugglers driving migrants through residential zones, not respecting any kind of the local ordinances on that, and not fleeing federal law enforcement and not yielding to them isn't a punishable crime. So that puts all the burden on local law enforcement, which they are, resources are scarce for them. And also because these drivers know that that federal law enforcement can't, interfere in their activity. They're driving super fast to these areas that is just in danger of the community. So this imposes harsh penalties on these individuals because many times they've actually caused accidents that cost the lives of Border Patrol agents like Raul Gonzalez from Texas. And many times, though, innocent bystanders that pedestrians, civilians that are not involved in this activity at all, not law enforcement, many of them have paid with their lives as well. So it's causing a lot of havoc in Cochise County, specifically my border areas. So this bill addresses that. This is one of their top priorities. We addressed it last Congress, but again, didn't go anywhere in the Senate. But now it has got a real path to go all the way to the president's desk.
That's good. It sounds like you guys are making real progress to make sure that this gets addressed. Now, another question that is on the top of the mind of a lot of our hometown heroes, but also a lot of Americans is, what are some of the steps that Congress is taking to lower inflation and reduce the cost of living, which is making it so much harder for so many Americans to make their ends meet?
Yeah, that's a big one. And the answer is on the national debt that we have and the federal spending. I mean, when you look at the cost and the increase of inflation and what that has done to everything, especially gas prices. When gas prices go up, transportation cost goes up. Businesses, that's how they get their goods across. So then they have to increase the cost of their services and their goods as well. So that drives up the cost for everything else. It's got a ripple effect. So energy cost is a big part of it. So when we are looking at the policies that the Biden administration implemented of really restricting energy supply from within the United States, that causes that, because now all of a sudden now we're having to import our energy supply from other countries that they can cost it whatever they want to, and we have what it takes here domestically. So it's the energy supply part of it, but also the government spending part of it. You've heard about DOGE and that whole effort that I'm a part of in that caucus to make sure that we look at the efficiencies of government. It is a lot of times cutting and reducing spending, but it's also making sure that the spending that the government does do, that it goes actually to the right areas and that we can deliver the services that the federal government should be delivering for our citizens. Like I said, many times that includes reducing areas, sometimes eliminating certain areas. But for the most part, the ultimate goal is to make it efficient, effective, and that it does what it's meant to do. And that also reduces that spending size and impacts the economy.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Doge caucus is going to be incredibly important to reducing the cost of living for all Americans. Now, I do want to ask you one question. You know, both you and I were born in Mexico, and that's actually pretty interesting. I believe that you're the first congressman out of Arizona, right, who is born in Mexico.
That's right.
Now, I'm very curious. What do you see the role of Hispanic Americans playing in supporting legislation that helps them achieve the American dream?
Oh, I love that question, because when people ask me all the time, like, what are the issues that Hispanics care about, or what are the Hispanic issues? I think you and I know this, that we care about the same issues that everybody else cares about. We care about the economy, cost of living, security. Actually, I've always said this, if you ask my parents, hey, why'd you come to the U.S. and what drove you here? They would say three main things, a better job for us, my parents would say, better school for the kids, and just safe streets, just an area where we can grow our family and raise our family well there. Well, those are pretty basic principles that I think all Americans want. So really the issues that unite us are the issues that everybody wants, which are these same things: taking care of your family, having the opportunity to go pursue your happiness, and also have a government force and law enforcement that protects its citizens, and their free enterprise reigns. So when you have those things, you can just go on and pursue whatever you want to do, whatever your career choice is. And that leads into the American dream, right? My sisters, one works at a church, and that's what she wants to do. The other one works in the private sector. That's what she wants to do. I'm here. My dad drove a bus most of his life here in the U.S. It's just having the option to go say, this is my path, my journey, and being able to do that. So when the government does its job and sets up this environment where people can go on and pursue their own American dream, then that makes a big difference. But the government doesn't create these dreams, right? Government doesn't have the ability to do those things. What the government, their role is to be able to, hey, this is the environment. We'll protect the protections and the ability for you to go pursue it, and then get out of the way. And then here comes, the individual to go pursue their own American dream, because it looks different for each one of us. And with Hispanic Americans, I'm seeing this breakup or breakaway from just one way of voting and saying, oh, okay, only I only vote Democrat, and they're the ones that have my back, and this and that. It's been a lot more open-mindedness that I've seen of saying, hey, I'm gonna vote for the policies that make sense for the person that can communicate what my family and I are going through. So we saw a big shift here, and President Trump really talks about this, how the Hispanic community really supported him this time more than any other Republican candidate in the history of the presidential races, which is true. So again, it's exciting to know that they can't put Hispanics into one box and say, okay, this is the way that they all think, that we all think. Nope, we're individuals. We have different mindsets and different party affiliations, but at the end of the day, we kind of want similar things, which is what the rest of the country wants as well.
I think you're exactly correct. Now, I do believe that we are running out of time, but I just wanted to add a couple of things that to what you said. Number one, my parents are the same way. Every night they go walking one of their dogs, and they say, my dad will always look at my mom and say, we can't do this back home. We can't do this in Nezahualcóyotl, which is where my parents grew up. But also, I love the fact that you said the government needs to get out of the way so people can achieve their American dream. Yeah. Personally, myself, the one last point is I recently became an American citizen last year. So,
congratulations, man! That's a big deal.
Thank you for your time. I know you have to run now, but just on behalf of Our America and our hometown heroes, we thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about some of the things that's going on in Congress. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to keep talking to you all, and hopefully in person next time. I think this is a great thing to have these conversations. I'll see you guys again soon, and let's make sure that we stay in touch. Thanks for the time.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thank you, Gabrielle, for recording that earlier today. And Glenn and Paul and Christian, I'll just bring you back on if you want to say goodbye to the team. we're just grateful that you all took a few minutes from your day to join us and to hear from the congressman. And I just want to remind people, if you want to learn more about Our America and you want to get involved, our website is joinouramerica.org. It's on the screen. And if you go to a tab at the top of that page, Hometown Heroes, click on that. It'll allow you to learn a little bit more about what our volunteers do, how you can get involved and start getting our monthly newsletters and get alerts when we have action items for you. But thank you all. And before we close out, Glenn or Christian, Paul, if you have your mics on, do you want to have any last, hurrah before we close out for the evening?
I'll say very quick that I want to thank everyone again from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this movement, for, being a part of trying to protect the American dream for everyone, because we want to build real relationships, with the folks on the ground. We want for this to be different. And you all make it happen, everyone in this audience. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what I want to say.
I would just very briefly add, a little bit of your time can make a lot of difference. And unlike a lot of other organizations, we're not seeking your money in the form of membership dues. We're just seeking a little bit of your time to help us achieve our common goal of improving our country, not just for this generation, but for our children and grandchildren. And you guys are the tips of the spear on that. So thank you.
Yes, and Arizona was the first place in the country where Our America has grassroots. And then we moved it to Georgia also. And I just want to thank Hometown Heroes for getting together and working on legislation and calls to action and rallies that benefit our community. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next time on another Our America Facebook Live. Thanks. Have a good night.